Hi, I'm Suki. Welcome to Getting Psychic, where you can listen to me use myself to test the theory that anyone can get psychic. Hello and welcome to Getting Psychic. I'm here with Nikki Vascones, lawyer turned animal communicator turned animal communication teacher. Welcome, Nikki.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to connect with you today.
Yeah, my pleasure. I can't wait. So, where did animal communication start for you?
It started when I was a full-time lawyer. I had no idea that animal communication was possible, and a local massage therapist happened to tell my friend that she could talk to animals. And then my friend told me, and that's where it all started. I was 28 years old, had never heard of such a thing, had no prior knowledge or experiences of connecting with animals. And that's where it began.
Oh my gosh. She comes home, she's like, "Did you know?"
Yeah, it's actually exactly what happened. She called me and she's like, "Did you know that Gina can talk to animals?" And I'm like, "What? What, like, say that again?" And she's like, "No, like what I just said. Like, what didn't you understand?" I'm like, "The talking to animals part."
Yeah.
And that's where it started. So it hasn't even been that long. I mean, I'm 30, almost 36. So
Mhm.
a little less than 10 years ago.
Oh my gosh. Incredible. Okay. So, as you know, this podcast is called Getting Psychic.
Hmm.
And although it's based on the fact that I believe that everyone already is psychic, I would love to know if you, prior to that, had any early life experiences with non physical reality, or was it just that phone call about Gina?
It really, so, okay. One time when I was like, I don't know, 8, I remember laying in bed and I had a soccer ball up on my dresser, on the top of my dresser, and I remember hearing the soccer ball fall off my dresser and bounce across the floor. And I still remember it. And that was the only thing I've ever experienced that in terms of like interacting with other realms or whatever that was, right? So short of that, I don't consciously have any memory of connecting with animals in this way or connecting with spirits or getting premonitions. On some level, was it happening? Sure, because like you just said, I really do believe that everybody has this. As I tell my students all the time, as a human being, we are innately psychic, telepathic beings. But from a conscious mind, I don't really recall any specific situations happening, other than at 28 years old being told that animal communication was possible, and then me trying to do it. But at the time, and we still do have our 2 dogs, so there were definitely times where, like, I knew what they needed or wanted, but I didn't understand that I was actually communicating with them.
Yeah, that's cool. I love that about you because your whole path in this arena has to do with a choice that you made.
Mhm.
And I think like that's a really beautiful thing to expose people to. Like you can access your stuff.
Yeah, and, I teach people now, and I love being able to say to them, "This isn't something I've always done. This isn't something that I have always even known was possible." There's nothing wrong if you're a teacher and had this ability, consciously aware of the ability since you were 2, right? But I think for a lot of people that don't have that story, they're like, "Oh, well, if she learned to do it, why can't I?" And it just
Yes,
plants the seed of possibility.
totally. I think that there are a lot of people who are sort of experiencing their quote unquote spiritual awakening or just dabbling with curiosity who feel very other than.
Mhm.
They see people doing incredible things, and although they believe it and understand it to be possible and true, they don't believe that it's a possibility for them.
Yes, 100%.
Cool. Okay. So, how has animal communication expanded your understanding of reality?
Oh gosh. And that was so let's tackle this question. Um, well, one, it opened my awareness to what's possible and that truly we are all connected. And I think on some level, well, we hear all the time, "Well, everyone is one and we're all one." And it's turned into like this cliche statement that we don't really actually contemplate like what that means. So what animal communication has done for me is show us that we truly are all connected, and there's this heart-to-heart connection, there's this connection of love, there's just this connection of life, and even death, right? You can still connect with those that have passed on. So it's like it opened up my eyes to what really is possible in this lifetime and in this reality, in this universe. But also it helped me become a kinder, more compassionate person to myself, to others. I was always kind and compassionate to my animals, but the connection that I have with them now is like tenfold. And I think what it really has done for me, if you break it all down to like the root, is that learning and excelling in animal communication has helped me become a better person for myself, kinder to myself. I used to have an eating disorder. My dog helped me through that. Like, it just helped me enjoy my life because I love animals. So that was just like the gateway to, okay, Nikki, how can you be happy as you and then thrive in what you love to do?
Yeah, that's amazing. How did your dog help you through an eating disorder?
So my eating disorder started as a young child, but not in the way of like, oh, I have an eating disorder. I just had a lot of digestive issues. So I would eat and then feel really sick. And as a, I don't know, 10-year-old, you just want to get it out of your body. You know, I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go throw up because I want to. I just didn't feel good. Over the years, it kind of evolved into a typical, what you would consider an eating disorder, right? Um, and so I would be in the bathroom doing some things, and I would come out and my dog would poop on my bed. And I was like, that's interesting. I was just in the bathroom. Like, I just ate, went to the bathroom, right? And to throw up, not, whatever. And I come out and my dog poops on my bed. And I was like, well, that's interesting. And at this point, I knew about animal communication. So I immediately knew the connection, but I was in denial and I'm like, oh, it was just maybe a coincidence, right? I don't know, a couple days later, same thing happened. And he had never done that before. Like, never, no accidents in the house ever, like not even when he was a puppy. So that moment for me, and I just want to preface this with, whenever I shared this, I have some people that comment and they're like, well, that's not the case for everyone. And this, you should be saying it softer. Like, guys, this is my story. Like, right, this is what happened with me in my life. I'm not saying that you should overcome an eating disorder because your dog asked you to. Like, this is my story. So that second time that my dog pooped on my bed, I was like, I'm done. Because I knew I was hurting him. And in my journey as me, as Nikki, that was enough for me to be like, I am done. And I think only a couple times after that, like two times after that, maybe I did that. And so that was a game changer, because I had tried to stop for so long and I kept reverting back. And then it was just my love for my dog. And that's all it took. Like, it was just so powerful. So I really do believe that our animals come into our life for a specific reason. There is such a deeper connection than, oh, I just got them from the pet store, like so many people in social media comments say, right? Like, there's no soul connection there. I just paid for them. And I'm like, you guys are oblivious. So that's how that happened. And that was in the beginning of my journey with animal communication. And it really just beautifully opened my eyes to how aware our animals are and
Mm-hmm.
how much they really do want to help us live our very best lives.
Yeah. Well, he took it outside of you.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's amazing because for years after that, anytime I would go to the bathroom for anything, he would follow me. Like, what are you doing? And I think probably about a year ago, he finally stopped, because he's like, okay, I believe you now.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's incredible. Well, this is a question that's like way down on my list, but is it true that dogs specifically really do want to heal us and have an awareness that they're here to absorb our energy and provide healing for us? Because I've gotten that impression.
Yeah. So I think the animals, all animals, right? They just operate out of unconditional love. They're not worried about what their neighbor looks like. They're not worried about whether they're bigger or smaller or whatever, like we humans are, right? So I think they are just operating at a higher vibration, a higher level of just frequency and consciousness than humans, because we worry about stress and finances and looks and appearance and money and like all that stuff. And animals are just like, hey, this is a really great day. Like, let's have fun. So I think on some level, the animals are always trying to get us to slow down, to be in the present moment, which they are masters at, right? They're not worried about the next day. They're worried about the exact moment, and enjoying it. So I don't know that it's that they're here to absorb our ailments or issues. I think it's more so they're here to help bring awareness and mirror it back to us so that we can then transform it into a way that's in our highest good.
Oh my God, we are the worst.
What do you mean?
I mean, humans.
Hey, we're learning, right?
Yeah.
We're learning. It's a journey.
Just thinking about that, like, oh my God. I was looking at us when you were talking from a dog's perspective. And I was just thinking, like, oh my God, we are just full of shit.
But listen, like they have no judgment, right? When you're operating out of unconditional love, it's just like, okay, how can I be of service? How can I help? How can I help you be happy? It's not so much like you're a piece of shit. Why aren't you getting it, Susan? What's going on? No offense to any Susans listening. I don't know where that name came from. But like, it's like there are little helpers and our little guides on this journey of just bringing us back to the present. Because that's where all the magic lies, right? If we're worried about yesterday or tomorrow, it's like we're not creating our reality.
Yeah. That's cool. I could get lost in that for a minute, but okay. So I think that a portion of our audience might be shocked to learn that you believe that they can communicate with animals too. Can you teach me something?
Well, yes. So we'll talk about that in a second. But the reason why I believe wholeheartedly 100% that every single person can learn to do this is because that's my story. Like, I'm not special. I'm not this special snowflake that just is the chosen one, right? And I right now I just started my new professional animal communication course where it's targeted on teaching people to turn this into a full-time business. But prior to launching it this month, for the last 2.5 years, I've had an online community, and I see every single day people coming in with no experience, and now they're charging. Now they're doing it. So 100% everyone can do it. But and a lot of everyone listening, right? Anyone that has an animal has experienced communicating with their animal. So do you have any cats or dogs?
I do have a dog. Yep.
Okay. So I'm sure there have been times where you're thinking about something, going on a walk, going to the vet, whatever, and they respond. Like Absolutely. They run to the door, so they're always picking up what we are thinking. Like they are able to do that without any effort. Mm-hmm. But there have also been times I can guarantee where, is it a he or she, your dog? He. There have been times, I'm sure, where you knew what he needed or wanted. So maybe you're in the middle of typing an email and all of a sudden you're like, we need to go for a walk. I'm going to go walk him right now. Like that, you were typing an email. Why would you randomly have that thought, right? Mm-hmm. Or, I don't know, that he's thirsty and then you go look and the water bowl is actually empty. So like, have you experienced anything like that with him?
For sure, yeah. And I also with him specifically, I'm like, I tell him I love him all the time telepathically.
Yeah. And that's you communicating, like you knowing what he needs or wants at random times. That's you receiving messages from him. But a lot of times we just aren't realizing that's what's happening. We're just thinking, oh, we know him, we love him, we're connected, but like that's telepathic animal communication. So the number one thing I tell my students from the very beginning, well, one, we go over like the various ways that messages can come through, which might be an image in your mind. All of a sudden you think of something he wants. It might be a feeling, a word, a thought, a sound, a taste. Like it can be anything, right? The way that we pick up our surroundings as a human being in our 3D reality, it's the same thing with the messages from the animals. It comes in all those ways. But the number one tip I give my students is to just be aware and open to the thoughts that you're receiving and pausing and like, okay, where did that come from? Like, I didn't just randomly think about that. We're not dealing with coincidences here. Like this is communication. But the way to really test and to prove to yourself that you have the ability to effectively communicate with your own animals is just think of things in your head. Like, I'm not saying think it silent to yourself. If you can hear me, look at me. Because just like with kids and humans, right? Just because the recipient hears the message doesn't mean they're going to do it, right? I would play around with like more meaningful things. Like if your dog always runs off or your cat is always jumping up on the counter, instead of saying, no, stop, like just in your head, think paws on the ground or stay by my leg. And you're going to see a difference. You're going to see a change in their behavior. It might take a couple times until they take you seriously, right? But doing things like that is just going to open your awareness to, oh, like there really is communication happening. And then once you have that awareness and that openness, you're naturally just going to start seeing more things happening between you and your animals, hands down.
Yeah. Cool. Well, wait, that was kind of the answer to like, teach me something, right?
Well, let's do this. If you want to tap into my dog and get a sense of their personality, I bet you can do it. You know, like it's and I
Yeah.
say that jokingly, but not. But that's the power. Like we spoke in the very beginning that we all have this ability.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of doing practice sessions, right? Not live on a podcast, but like doing practice sessions with someone that you feel comfortable with, so that your guard's not up.
Yeah.
And showing yourself that you have this ability. Now, are there things to learn and tips to give? Of course, that's why I have a whole program, right? Like there's things to be taught, but at the root of it, you already have the ability. So it's just doing practice sessions so you can be like, oh my gosh, there's no way I would have known that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just trusting what you're getting, because you set the intention to connect with an animal. A message comes through, you think you're totally making it up, you think it's all in your head because it's like your voice in your head, but that's how it comes through.
Yep. How does information come through for you? Are you more claircognizant or clairsentient, or what? How do you receive things?
The messages mainly come through for me in images and sudden knowings.
Yeah.
Now, when I teach my students, a lot of people are always like, what kind of clair are you? And what kind of clair am I? And I don't really use those terms because I feel like people get stuck on them of, I have to be this or I'm that. Because when the messages come through, sometimes it's like, okay, say I have this image in my head of your dog running next to a red shed and playing with the chicken.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, okay, when that came through, did I get the image or did I get words that then my brain put an image to? You know, so it's like, it doesn't really matter how the messages come through. It's like, just accept what you're getting and then you'll get them in all of the various ways. But my two most common are definitely images and then sudden knowings.
Yeah. Yeah. And are you doing a lot of interpreting, or do you just understand?
Well,
because you're tapping into either deceased or unknown animals, right?
Yeah. So so everything on some level is going to be interpretation, because we are receiving telepathic messages. It's going to be interpreted on some level through my lens, beliefs, experiences, but you try to be as neutral as possible, right? So when you get a message, it can either be a literal message, I love my food, right? Or it could come through as a metaphor. So when I teach, I always tell my students there are 12 ways the messages could be interpreted. One is literal, but it might be a metaphor. Like and there's two types of metaphors. A standard metaphor, like maybe an animal says, I'm in a cage all day. I'm in a crate all day. The dog says I'm in a crate all day and I'm bored. And then the humans are like, we literally don't own a crate. What is he talking about? What are you talking about, right? It could be a metaphor to feeling confined, not going on walks. So one of the key points of excelling in this work is knowing when to ask clarifying questions. So if a dog says, I'm in a crate all day, it seems like a very literal message, but I always say, tell me more. Even if I think it's literal, tell me more. Because what if it's not literal, you know? So you're interpreting, but you're not trying to interpret with your brain. You're trying to ask the appropriate clarifying questions, either to the animal or to the guardian, to figure out, okay, like what is the proper interpretation for this message? Because one of the ways that messages come through that, at least for me, that can be very confusing if you don't know what's happening is, I had a dog or cat, I don't remember. It was a dog or cat in the very beginning of my journey, show me a very clear image of his guardian, his mom, jumping into a pool doing cannonballs. Or no, I'm sorry. The image was a bunch of kids jumping into a pool doing cannonballs. Like, and if you don't know what a cannonball is, it's like, I don't know how to explain a cannonball. It's like you jump up and grab your knees and splash in the water.
Yeah.
So the guardian, after the fact, was like, I have no idea what that means. Like, I don't have a pool. My dog's never seen a pool because they lived like near the ocean. And she's like, we have no kids in our lives. Like, I have no idea what this means. But this image kept coming up all throughout. So what I later learned is that that was what I call a behavior. Wait, no, oh my gosh, what do I call it? An emotional behavior metaphor. It's an emotional behavior metaphor, which means an animal might show you an image of someone doing something, a behavior, to convey an emotion. So if you think about kids jumping into a pool doing cannonballs, what does that reveal? Fun, carefree, having a lot of fun, like just being relaxed. So when I explained the emotions behind this image that I was receiving telepathically of needing to have fun and let loose, she started busting out laughing. And she goes, Nikki, oh my gosh, literally every day I say to my dog or cat, I need to let loose and have fun. So it was like the same phrase that she was telling her animal every day I used to explain this image of kids jumping into a cannonball. So with an example like that, you do have to interpret the messages sometime, but you're asking the right questions to figure out the true meaning from the animal, as opposed to using your own beliefs and experiences to do the interpretation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because if you stopped there with that imagery, you would just be like, well, he must have seen a pool.
Exactly. and sometimes that is the case, right? Sometimes it is literal, but sometimes it's not. So one of the key things that I always try to remind my students of is when someone says that doesn't make sense, do not assume you're wrong. You have to ask additional questions to try to figure out why you received what you received.
Totally. All right. Well, how has this expanded your psychic skills with humans?
So I wouldn't say that. So I have no desire to work with humans in that way, right? I was going to say talk to humans, but I'm talking to a human, but you know what I mean. So I don't really practice, I don't do work with humans. I don't do mediumship with deceased humans. It's just not where my heart is.
Yeah.
But what I have noticed is that my intuition in my life has gotten a lot stronger. And particularly within the last 3 weeks, I noticed a huge shift where I will go, so silly example, I'll go to delete something on my computer and I'll get this knowing, don't delete that, you're going to need it.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, I haven't used this in 3 years. And then 2 days later, I need it, right?
Yeah.
So things like that have been really amping up within the last 3 weeks. So studying this work and really honing this ability has just opened me up to being aware of the help and the guidance that's all in the cosmos around us, because premonitions are a thing. Being able to psychically see into the future, remote viewing, all of that, that is all a reality. But when you're so emotionally and physically bogged down, whether through illness or stress or worry, your telepathic channel closes a bit. So the more you do things you love and practice just being open every day, all the beauty of the possibilities just come to you full force.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, definitely once you stick your toe in, it's crazy what starts to unfold.
Yeah. And it's just, you got to get out of the way, right? That's the key of have no expectations, be open and get out of the way and just have fun.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel like we should, even though the thought of this kind of makes me cringe, I feel like we should try to, or I should try to tap into your dog.
Let's do it. Because you're gonna, and the first of all, you're awesome that you're doing that on your own podcast, live on the spot, right?
Well, Nikki, there's editing if this doesn't go.
But it's you're gonna see that you really can do it. So, let's do my dog Merlin. He's a boy. He's living.
That's cute.
Do you want a picture or no picture? Because you don't need one.
It's my first time. Give me a picture.
We can do that. All right, let me get one.
I feel like I can already see him anyway. But maybe it's because of his name.
Well, go ahead. While I'm getting a picture, what are you seeing?
Well, he's gray.
Yeah, he's black and white. Okay, I'm trying to get a neutral face shot for you. Because I don't want the picture to give you too much personality. Okay.
Expressionless.
Wait.
Oh,
Let
yeah,
me.
he is that color.
Okay, hold on. Let's just try.
Just show me the picture again. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
Just hold it back a little
Maybe
bit.
if I hold it back further.
Yeah, I can see him. Mm-hmm. It looks like his eyes are like, ah. Yeah,
He
okay.
does look a little crazy, but it's the angle.
Okay, now what?
So just get a sense of his personality. I always like to start with that.
I feel like he's like, well, calm is what comes to mind. Like he's not a spaz. Okay, there's another cute picture of him.
So dive into that. So calm. So explain calm. Like, what are you
Like,
feeling?
like it's like he has like a laid back demeanor, or he wants to be laid back.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I got right away. Um, should I keep going?
Yeah, go ahead. You're accurate, by the way, but keep going.
Oh, thank God. I was like, can you give me something?
Yeah, so let me just tell you, the way I start my sessions, I always get a sense of the animal's personality. And I sit with that for like a minute or two. And then I ask them, what do you want me to know? Like, what is something that you want to say about yourself so that your mom or dad will really know that I'm connecting with you? So play with those two questions, personality
Okay.
and whatever he
Okay.
wants. What can make me know you're talking to him?
Do you do any sort of uh do you do any exercises to tap in, or are you just like, I'm in? Because I
I
know
am
people do like elaborate, like, okay, I'm opening the whatever, and
No, I am very direct. If you set the
yeah,
intention to connect,
yeah.
you are there. Now, if you had a stressful day and you've been on the computer for 12 hours and your eyeballs are popping out of your brain, maybe you need to kind of like meditate for a little bit. But I am very big on not elaborate. It's the intention, connect heart to heart, or just look at their eyes and boom, you're in.
Okay, let me connect with him. Okay, so I want to ask him to give me something so that you you know that I'm connecting with him. I don't know what, but like a pig?
So keep
I don't
going.
I don't know
Ask them to
why.
tell you more. What about that? Try to understand why you're getting that.
Well, my first instinct when it came with like that, it was like a toy. But then I was thinking farm, and then I'm like interrupting myself.
So keep going because this could be a couple things, and I want to see what he's referring to.
Well,
So
and then
just
right
keep saying,
away,
"Tell me more."
okay, I will. But right away, it was like what I was seeing was um a pig nose. um, okay.
Ask him why. What about that is important, or what about that do we need to know?
I'm getting a sense for like area or land.
I think I know where you're going with this. Ask him, "What about the land do we need to know? What about this is important? Tell me more about what you want me to know by the land. What's the
Um,
connection?"
I'm there's like there's a I was seeing like a wire fence all of a sudden.
Mm. Okay, I know you're 100% accurate, and it just gave me chills. Go one more. I want you to ask one more clarifying question. What about this are you trying to tell me?
My God, my heart is like swelling.
With love, with anxiety?
Love, not anxiety. It was nice, but I'm trying to. But it was almost like I kind of wanted to cry too.
I am so glad we did this because this just okay, I'm going to tell you exactly, I know exactly what you're talking about. Sometimes when we get a message, the first thing you said was pig. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, what does that mean? if you ask any one of my students, I literally tell them 100,000 times a day, you have to ask clarifying questions. Go deeper, go deeper, go deeper. Because, so I mentioned in the beginning that we are in Florida. We came
Yeah.
from Pennsylvania. We still have our home in Pennsylvania, and we're gonna snowbird it. We're gonna go back and forth. In Pennsylvania, we have a lot of land.
Oh my God.
There are farms everywhere. There is a wire fence.
Oh my God.
He loves the wire fence because he can see through it.
Oh
At
my
our
God.
house in Florida, we have a very small land. We have a very small lot, like very, very small, a completely wooded fence. So he can't see out the fence. He hates our backyard because he can't see anything. And the love part, heart swelling with love, literally made me tear up because we just decided like 2 weeks ago that we're going to go back to Pennsylvania this summer. And I know they're going to love it. And they're so excited because my husband's grandmother lives next door. They freaking love her. So you were 100% accurate. Now, if you would have stopped at pig nose, I have a friend here that has a farm and they have pigs. And I was like, maybe that, but he's never been there. But the first message we get sometimes isn't the full picture. You got to dig deeper because you just painted a perfect, beautiful scene of what I know he is so excited for to happen in a couple months. And we literally just decided.
I'm dying because I wanted, okay, first of all, I saw a pig nose and then suddenly I heard someone run down the stairs and I thought that I was home alone. So I was like, oh shit, my husband's home. Don't disrupt this podcast. I don't know if he knows I'm recording. So then I was like, well, I don't know. Like I wanted to dismiss the pig nose,
Mm-hmm.
but then I was like, I know that I can't dismiss anything and I need to tell Nikki. But
Yep.
I could have stopped myself at every single step.
Yep.
And I wanted to.
And that's when you will fail because it's vulnerable. This work, you have to get really comfortable with feeling very uncomfortable because you don't want to be like, oh my gosh, that's wrong, or you suck, that doesn't make sense. But look at what just happened. Like everything you said, pig nose, and then you got land. And then I smiled because I was like, we have a lot of land. Like when I say a lot of land, we don't own it, but behind our house, our grandparents own 20 acres in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and
And
what
then the
he
wire fence. I always say, my husband and I are always saying
dude,
Merlin needs a wire fence. But
you guys,
yeah.
that was honestly crazy. And what I got for land was just the strangest thing, but I knew what he meant. It was like it was kind of like at first I was like, is this water body? But it was like he was showing me areas in my perception.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew what he meant.
Was there anything you received from him that you didn't say that you were shy about? Like, oh, that's not going to make sense. That's wrong.
Grass. There was stuff about like feathery grass. What?
Wait, hold on. You have to ask him. Dive back into the grass. Ask him to tell you more about what he wants to share about the grass.
God. I thought my armpits are sweating so bad.
That happens to me every time I do a Zoom or a live session, just so you know.
I thought that I made it out alive and now I have to go back in. And just so you guys know, I don't know. I purposefully avoid learning too much about people who I'm interviewing when I don't already know them. So I've never heard your voice. I didn't watch any interviews. I, of course, looked at your website, but I didn't know anything about your move or just in the most basic 2-second conversation way. So,
well, first of all, that information is nowhere online anyway. And it's funny you just said that because right before the podcast started, my husband asked who I was meeting with. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, some girl with the podcast. And she's like, what podcast? I'm like, I don't know, because I don't want to know anything about her. Like, I don't want to know anything. So I'm with you.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I love that.
I'm going to pull up another picture for you for Merlin if you want to connect back in, even though you don't need it. But
all right. There's something about the grass. Oh my God, he is funny. Look at that side eye. That's so crazy that I got his color. I didn't see the black spots though.
Oh yeah, he's got like a couple little black spots. So
In my
ask him to tell you more about the grass. What's the intended message there?
Okay, like I feel like there's something he likes about it, but also I just keep hearing pee. Like something about urine. What?
Okay. So this is so funny. By the way, I've never asked a podcast host to talk to one of my dogs, and this is awesome. And I'm going to do it every time.
Oh
So
my god, I'm so glad I made myself suffer through this.
yes.
What?
Okay. So Merlin hates the grass in Florida, at least in our backyard.
Okay.
He just doesn't like the backyard. So we're always saying, Merlin, you have to go pee in the grass. Like, go pee in the grass, because he'll pee on the patio carpet. Like, he doesn't want to go in the grass out back. He'll go in the grass out front. So then we'll take him out front.
It's like he wants to pee in longer grass.
He doesn't like the grass in Florida because it feels different than Pennsylvania. It's very different.
I'm dying.
So then he'll go out front. I'll take him out front to go pee, and he'll pee in the driveway. I'm like, Merlin, get your butt in the grass. Go pee in the grass. So you just nailed it.
He thank you, Merlin. You made me look good, buddy. And he was totally just giving me stuff for you because you already know this stuff.
Yep.
Oh
and
my
God. The beauty with this work is that we all have the innate ability, but then it's also just learning when to dig deeper, how to dig deeper, and the questions to ask, right? It's something that everyone absolutely can do.
It was right there available. Before you even said go back in, I already knew it was the grass. But I was just like, oh, well, here's what I was doing. This is for my audience, for our audience. I was letting myself dismiss things as assumptions. And so I was like, oh, of course, if I'm seeing land and this wire fence, I'm going to see grass. But it was like, no, pee and grass, pee and grass. I'm like, well, I'm probably just assuming that dogs pee in grass. I wanted to, derail it the whole time. But this is like beautiful to be able to validate it, but also really look at what some of us do to interrupt ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, I always tell my students, you cannot dismiss a message simply because you think it's too cliche or every animal, dog or cat does that. Because let me tell you what, not every dog likes to play with a ball. Not every cat loves to lie in the sun on the windowsill. Maybe a lot do, but not every single one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the grass comment with Merlin is an everyday thing. Merlin, pause in the grass, go pee in the grass, like every day.
Oh my gosh. That's so amazing. Okay, thank you for letting me do that. Holy cow. When you talk to Merlin, are you vocalizing, or are you doing a lot of telepathic communication? Like if you're like, dude, I know you don't like this grass, but can you go pause in the grass? Are you talking, or?
It's a mix of both. Sometimes for me, like, and for a lot of people, it helps you like express yourself when you're speaking it out loud. It just helps you like get clear on what you're asking and what you're saying. But but then other times it's very much in my head. Like he does this thing with his food. We're trying to figure out some food allergy things. And I think we've figured it out because he's doing better. But there'll be times where he loves potato chips. And we have.
I mean, who doesn't?
Exactly. I know it's a problem. So if there's like, I always yell at my husband because if I'm trying to feed Merlin, but then Mike grabs the chips, Merlin is in for the chips. So I'll be like, Merlin, in my head, you have 30 seconds to get your butt back out here and show interest in your food or I'm putting it away. And then I'll count in my head. And then so many times he'll come in at like 27 seconds, look at me, snort, and then go eat, So it's a little mixture of both out loud versus in my head.
Oh my God. That's so funny. I need to tap into my own dog because he is like 9 months old and he was a foster and he tricked us because he was perfect. I I mean, he is wonderful. He's like so sweet, but he's also like, turns out like almost a purebred German Shepherd,
Mm.
which I've never dealt with before. We didn't plan on keeping him at all, but his energy was genuinely. I had a conversation with my husband. Like, we were in a stressed out place in our lives. And I was like, this is the last thing we need. And my husband, who is not like exactly on the same path that I'm on in terms of like being completely, having a podcast called Getting Psychic, he's just very open. But he said, I really feel like even though it's a terrible time, his energy is so good for us right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he is just vibrationally good for us. But as soon as we adopted him, he like became an adolescent, is in full cuckoo pants mode. And I know that like a lot of dog owners, we are unconsciously doing things to encourage misbehavior. Like, just a small example was like, if he's like repeatedly stealing the kids' toys, right? So until this point, we would just take him away, take him away, take him away. And then he started showing signs of like what's it called? Resource guarding.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if we had known sooner that trading him for something would have been helpful to prevent him from seeming like starting to seem pissed off at us,
Yeah.
that would have helped. But how can I like tap into what how to interrupt certain things? Like, he's at his first day of like daycare, so we're doing things to try to like stimulate him and get him training and support. But like at home, when his biggest problem is he's like going crazy, and like not with anger or aggression, but like kind of playfully, but it seems aggressive. He's like just trying to eat our kids all the time.
Like a little, is it like the image I'm getting is like a pinball machine, like boing, 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 like all over the place.
He
Like,
is giving, yes, he's doing that.
so what as you were speaking, Suki, in the very beginning, is like, I feel like how often does he get exercise and go on walks that are different and like not just around the block or like running or like on grass? Like, do you live in an area where you're able to do that?
I try to go out of my way to take it. We live in the city.
Okay.
So no, and we have a yard, but it is a big effort for me to drive him to a place where he can be off leash.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's wonderful, but it cannot be a daily thing
Yeah.
because we're
So
both super crazy busy. And
yeah, this is the first thing that came through when, with, like, I don't even know his name, I don't even know his picture, I don't know anything. But as you're speaking, right, I'm just like listening to you, but also like tuning into him. And the first thing I got was that I just need to run, and I need openness, and not around the block. Which then you just said you're in a city. So what I'm thinking is, animals come into our life for a reason, right? I mentioned my dog Donald with my eating disorder. It's like, what's your dog's name?
Angus, but we really just call him Puppy Boy.
So Puppy Boy, right, comes into your life. He's like this charming little puppy boy, right? Perfect angel. Gets into your home, you adopt him, and then it's like, shit, he's just all over the place, right? It's like, okay, what is he here to show you?
Yeah.
And on some level, yeah, maybe he just wants more exercise. But two, it's forcing you to slow down, to do things. It's you're getting really frustrated in the process because you are busy, you have kids, life. But he's like, he's going to keep pushing those buttons until he gets what he wants because he knows it's good for you. Now, on sometimes, sure, I'm not saying we don't need dog trainers. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But a lot of times the issue, the behavior, it really can be resolved very simply. And I feel like when you mentioned the kids' toys and eating the kids, it's because in his mind, right, it's all through their perception. The kids are probably getting so much attention because they're kids. Of course, you're the parents. Like, of course they're getting attention. And so in his mind, it's like, okay, well, how do I get attention? Oh, well, I'm going to go after the kids. I'm going to take their toys. I'm going to do things to force mom and dad to pay attention to me. And you might find all of that very quickly and easily resolve, Suki, if you are able to find the time to take him to that grassy off leash area, even if that means getting up a little bit earlier if you can, or whatever that looks like for you, because then he's going to feel like, okay, I got what I needed. It was good for mom to disconnect and do that. And then everything might change. Because the prominent message from him was the not walking around the block, like not just seeing the cars and the street.
Totally.
And that might, sometimes it's that simple.
Yeah.
But also too, back to your initial point in question is, you got to just ask yourself, okay, what do I feel like he needs? What does he want? Because you know he loves that area, that it takes great effort for you to get to, but he likes it. So it's like you have to just sit with yourself and see, okay, what can we reasonably do to not stress me out more that would help bring balance and stimulation and fun into his life? And maybe the daycare is a great step. But it's a lot of times we already know. It's just we have to push our own stuff aside and be like, okay, help me get clear on like what I need to do for this situation to make it better. And then just be open to receiving what you're meant to receive. And it might not come to you in that moment. It might be a day or two later when you're like washing dishes or something. But you'll get these downloads of like, you know what, I'm going to try this.
Totally.
And also too, just talking to him and telling him, listen, I know you want more of this. I'm really going to do my best. This week we can only go once or twice. But next week, I'm going to try and do it 3 times, and just like tell him.
Yeah.
And then that too might be like, he might be like, okay, like she's getting it. I want to work with her too. And then it's a compromise.
Yeah.
You got to talk to them just like the human kids.
Well, now I know that I absolutely can. So
yep.
I definitely will. That's really cool. Thank you for looking at that for me.
Yeah, of course.
Tell me a crazy story from your career. Do you have a fun story that you like to tell, or like a success story?
Yeah. So tell me how you want it to go. Do you want it to be like a behavior thing? Do you want it to be a medical thing? Do you want it to be like a mind-blowing animal and spirit thing?
Just give me something weird. Yeah, I like the third option.
Yeah. As I said that, I was like, I'm going to say that no matter what she says. So I did a session a while back. And so this dog was in spirit. When the mom had scheduled the session, I think 2 months prior, and the dog was still alive. Her dog had then passed. And if you ever had a tattoo, you go to like multiple appointments typically. If it's like a bigger one, you can't just get it all done at one time. So she goes to get let me tell you what the dog said first. So I'm talking to the dog, and one of the questions I always ask the animals in spirit is, how are you letting your mom or dad, guardian, whomever, know that you're still with them? Are they going to see a sign? Like what's going on here? And this will be perfect from what we were talking about earlier about not assuming things are cliche. So this dog said, tell mom I'm looking up at the shooting star. And I'm thinking, really? Like, can you give me something else? Like, is mom going to see a shooting star? How cliche. But I know better, right? I say whatever. So it was like, tell mom I'm looking up at the shooting star. So I deliver the message. And the mom at the time didn't understand what that meant. But she knew to like be open-minded. And she, I don't know, 2 weeks or so later, she had her second tattoo appointment. So she went to the first appointment a couple months back or however long ago. And the sketch was already drawn up and everything. She goes to her second appointment after her dog had passed. The tattoo artist didn't know the dog passed. And he said, hey, I know we already have a sketch, but I wanted to add something because I know you love animals and I know you love dogs. What do you think about this? And so the tattoo artist shows her what he drew, and it was a silhouette of a dog looking up at a shooting star. Like, what? So she was just like, why did you draw that? Like, she was like shocked. And he's like, well, I don't know. Like, you love dogs. And like, I thought this would fit cool. Like the shooting star would fit around the circle of this design we have. So that drawing was done by the tattoo artist after the dog had passed away. So it's, we talk about connecting with our animals, like them understanding us and what we need now when they're alive. That doesn't change when they pass away. And for anyone out here learning animal communication or wanting to learn it, like, you got to just share whatever you get no matter what, because it's often in those quote unquote cliche messages the beauty resides.
Right. That's incredible. You're like, that's kind of too cheesy for me to say. And then it turns
Yeah,
out to be the craziest thing.
right? Like, it's wild. So like they know exactly what we need to hear. And with you connecting with Merlin today, like him mentioning the grass, that is a daily thing that we have conversations with him about. And in your mind, it's like, well, yeah, dogs pee in the grass, duh.
There was a different quality to it though. Like I was like, "Oh my god, just pee in the grass, pee in the grass." Like why am I like But yes, you're right. It could have been cliche, but I was like, I guess I got to say pee.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I've had animals talk about issues in their body that were causing issues that no one could figure out, and like an abscess tooth, for example, that was like the problem. And
Mhm.
the cat pointed me to the exact tooth, and it turned out to be abscess. They pulled the tooth, and then his health issues got so much better. So it's
Oh my
like
gosh.
it's just the magic of everything.
Yeah, that's so beautiful and so exciting. Like I don't know. I know there's some people listening who will be like tapped by hearing this and they will probably redirect their lives. So, it's pretty cool. All right, I have a dead dog, Hank, who that sounds morbid, but I have somebody who's not living, but I know he's always with me.
Totally.
Um, how does he show me that he's around?
It's there are endless amount of ways that can happen. So it could be sometimes
But specifically, what's Hank doing?
oh, like to ask him.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, let's do that. Okay, so let's see.
that's where more fun.
Yeah, so Hank is a dog?
Yeah,
Okay, let's tap into Hank.
he's the best.
Okay, so I'm gonna just say things, don't comment yet, right? The first thing I'm getting is something about the TV. So let's talk about the TV. What are you doing with the TV, Hank? He says, I don't know why you're watching the TV. Just pay attention to me. I should get all the attention. You're distracted by the TV. So tell me more about the TV, Hank. He doesn't understand why people in the home try to watch TV when there's a bunch of chaos happening. It feels like there's loud sounds, kids running around or something going on. It's like, but you're still on the couch watching the TV, but it's like you can't even pay attention to what's happening because of everything happening in the house. Does that make sense to you with your home?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, he might have been talking about like literally yesterday.
Were you watching something with a bunch of craziness happening around
Yeah,
you?
my kids are just being totally insane, and so was the dog.
But yet you're still sitting there trying to watch your show?
Or they were. I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so let's ask. So that right there is just him saying, "Hey, I'm here. I see what's happening in your life," right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so Hank, anything else you're doing with mom specifically to let her know that you are still here with her?
He's just judging us.
He is actually like, what are you doing? Like, why are you trying to watch a show when it's chaos?
Yeah, I can see that.
All right, so he's directing me to evening time. You're laying in bed. Tell me more about that, Hank. He said the bedtime was our special time together, and I'm seeing him laying up like really close to your chest, like right next to you. Not that he's necessarily sleeping there, but there was something about special bedtime cuddles. So
Yeah.
tell me more, Hank. And specifically, you're laying on your right side, and he's in front of you. Is that laying on the right side? Does that mean anything? Is that relevant?
No.
Like,
I mean, it's not relevant, but it's not like
okay. So I just didn't know if that was like something specific. So tell me
yeah.
more about the bedtime specialness here, Hank. He says that the way he's coming through to say hello is that he's still with you at nighttime when you're laying in bed, because one of his main jobs of being with you was to help you, like hugging him. I'm like seeing like these like kind of bear hugs at nighttime, and
Yeah.
that was his way of helping you down regulate and to like
Yeah.
let go of the day, and he helped you get into a state to go to a restful sleep, and he's still doing that every night. So is that something you guys did at nighttime where him
When
specifically
I
helped you relax at night?
whenever I came home actually from work, like he was not small, but he liked to get in my lap. Like I would
Mm,
hold him like kind of like a baby, and it was like a silly thing, but it was
mhm.
like, and he was like he liked it.
Yeah.
And but I think he's talking about, yes, it makes sense because it would be like I would come home and do that and it would downregulate me.
Would this happen though at nighttime, like in your bed? Or maybe even
Um
I felt it was a bed. I guess it could be a couch, but it was very much specific to, like, when you're done your day's activities, not just getting home from work, like, literally
yeah.
you're going to bed. He was helping you downregulate at that moment.
Not that I can think of. I mean, I'm sure because I was like often like cuddling him, but I'm not
Mhm.
specifically thinking about, bedtime stuff, but yeah, I'm sure.
Well, pay attention now, like, when
Yeah.
you're laying in bed, if you just feel his calming presence, like, at bedtime specifically, because this main thing for him was helping bring you, like, not peace, but, like, less chaos. Like, that's
Yeah.
why he talks about the TV. Like, if you wanna watch TV, do it in a space where you can actually pay attention and listen to it.
Yeah.
And then, so let's see what else he wants to say. So tell
Also,
me more.
FYI audience, I barely watch TV, so Hank's making me look bad. But like last night, it was like a cuckoo pants in my house.
Mhm.
So,
Well, there
Hank.
you go. He's like, "Okay, I'm here last night. This is what happened. I'm still here."
But
Hank, what
I feel like he has done a couple things that like I could hear and experience. I
totally.
just have
You can
that
feel
sense.
it.
Like like one time he did something with like a dog collar. I don't know what the circumstance was, but I was upstairs in my room and there was a dog collar like drying over like a towel hook, and and I just trust because I immediately thought of him when I heard this, but the sound or the tags on the collar just suddenly went like, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? It's it's stagnant. There's no way for it to have done that." And I was like, "What up, Hank?"
When you first asked me about how is Hank coming through to say hi, before I realized you were asking, like, him specifically for me to ask him. What I was about to say is that there are an infinite number of ways that our animals in spirit can come through. And a common way is a lot of people will hear them. They will hear their bark, their breathing, something, they'll smell them. You might even feel them jump up onto the bed. Like you literally feel the bed dip down and like someone's like an animal's walking up to you. But
Mm-hmm.
also, they manipulate things in our home, things that they know will get our attention. It can be lights, it can be the collar, it can be like whatever, because that's just what's possible. Like I can't tell you how or why it is. It just straight up is. And the way that you know it's a sign from them is because you will have this feeling in your body like that was them. You can't explain it, you just know. And you just have to trust it.
Yep. Because why not?
Exactly. Like one time, we have a pup in spirit, Jordy, the little teacup poodle. I was running up the steps, our basement steps, and she had already passed away. And I literally tripped over her. Like I actually fell. I felt her because she would always run between our feet, and she was like 5 pounds. It was dangerous.
Yeah.
So I literally felt her between my feet. It caused me to fall on the stairs, and I was like, Jordy. And then I go to grab her, and I was like, oh, like what the what?
Wait
She
a minute.
yeah, it was wild.
Oh
So,
my
like,
God.
they can come through in an endless amount of ways.
Yeah. That's so cool. Okay. Have you been able to tap into larger questions about existence with animals? Like, can you tap into their feelings about the fabric of reality? Or, I mean, obviously, you just exhibited that you can tap into how they think about how humans are running things,
Yeah.
even just like obviously in my home.
So are you asking like what they think about like the broader picture of just like life in general, or like what specifically are you asking? I'm not clear.
Well, yeah, I mean, a little bit of that, like maybe our 3D reality, and or have you gotten anything about their understanding of existence
Hmm.
on a larger scope?
Yeah, so with this question, it tends to come up with animals in spirit because the number one question that human guardians want is want to know is my animal happy? Are they mad at me? Did I wait too long? Did I not help them transition when I should have? Like questions about like are they mad at me for how they died or whatever. And what I have learned from the animals is that they they never are in pain once they transition, right? They're never in pain, they're never angry. It was never too late, too soon. Like they understand the larger picture of everything that's happening. And even if it's a situation where it's a tragic accident or something, like they have this clarity about it as to like why it happened that way. I can't tell you what's it like in the spirit world. I don't know. I've never been there, right? So like I don't have that. I can just share like what they've shared about it. But in terms of like I just personally haven't asked them questions about like tell us what the point of life is or tell us what the point of being in this human experience is. I just haven't cared to like go down that route. When I've spontaneously connected with wild animals like whales or alligators or whatever just for fun practice outside of like work, that's when it typically goes into like how can you as a species be better to yourself. But like with my
Well,
client sessions, yeah, like with my client sessions it's more so focused on how can we improve your life, how can we help your humans be better, what's your soul contract with your mom, like what's or your dad, like what why are you here with them in this lifetime. It's more so centered on like improving their physical life with their physical human. But do I think animals have the ability to provide guidance and knowledge on those broader topics? Yeah, 100%.
yeah. Before I ask you, because I saw on your website that you had 20 ways to enhance your animals' lives instantly. So I kind of
Mhm.
want to close with that. But before I ask you that, I was thinking I'm a small business owner, and one of my companies is a hair care line. And the subtext of that brand is hair care for sensitive people because I can't tolerate synthetic fragrance. I think it's better to have things in plastic free packaging. You know, a
Mhm.
lot of who I am fuels this. But I would like to know if animals hate synthetic fragrance as much as I do.
So that's a great question. I would say one, it depends on the animal, but
Yeah.
I've had a lot of animals, a lot, talk about not hating the candles in the home, which I didn't even know there were candles in the home, right? It just comes up like I'm coughing. There's something in the living room. It makes me cough. I don't like it. Get rid of it. Turns out it's an air freshener or a candle.
Oh
Um,
God, I feel you,
Awful,
Rover.
right? I've
Brutal.
had animals talk about, not a cat specifically, I forget the cat's name, but talking about there's something mom does in the morning in the bathroom and she sprays something right by my bed and I can't stand it. And it was her
Oh God.
hairspray. Right. So I think it depends on the animal. I'm like you. I cannot stand smells, scents. I can't do Uber rides because their cars all smell awful. It's
Same.
bad. So yeah, it's awful. And you live in a city, so it's like, oh my gosh. So I think on on a health level, the scents are awful for humans and animals, like hands down across the board. Whether it annoys all the animals, I think that's going to be unique, but it's just not good. Like get rid of the air fresheners in your house and the Yankee candles. Oh my gosh, that's so toxic. And you have to remember the animal's sense of smell is a lot stronger than ours.
Yeah.
So it's just amplified tenfold.
Yeah. I think like a lot of clairvoyant and quote unquote sensitive in a spectrum of ways type of people are sensitive to those sensory things like fragrance and texture and
Yep, texture, oh
um
my gosh, polyester, no way. Like, I only wear cotton clothing or, like, fabrics, right? Like, it's and you're right because I wasn't always I used to wear perfumes and do the hairsprays and stuff, and it didn't bother me, but now, oh gosh, it would totally shut me down.
yeah, it's weird, me too. Okay, well,
Mhm.
I'll obviously send you some hair care. But so that aside, can you give us in closing some of the 20 ways to enhance our animals' lives instantly, please?
Totally. So the first one I always start with is the power of a name, like your animal's name. And like if your cat's nickname is Scaredy Cat, don't be wondering why your cat's always scared, or if your dog's nickname is Monster, right? Like that is a very real thing. So be aware of the name. If you're calling your lizard or whatever destructive and they're destructive, well, there you go. The number two is you always have to say what you want. So like we mentioned this a little bit earlier, like with Merlin, right? For example, my dog and peeing in the grass. I don't want to say to him, stop peeing on the mat or stop peeing on the patio. I want to say, pee in the grass, pause in the
Mm,
grass. Because every time you speak, yes, you're speaking verbal words, but there's always a simultaneous mental image forming in your head, whether you're aware of it or not. So if I were to say, like you have kids, right? So if you say to your kids, don't put your bicycle in the driveway, or don't put your shoes right by the front door, that's where the shoes are going to be. If you say, put your shoes under the window, you have a better chance of them like being by the window, right? So it's like paws in the grass, paws
yeah.
on the ground. Instead of don't jump, keep your paws on the ground. Like it's going to change the nature of everything, because then the words you're speaking are matching the image in your mind. So
Yeah.
if the image in your mind is one thing, but the words you're saying are another, animals more often than not will follow the mental image that they're picking up,
Yeah.
and because they're thinking that's what you want them to do.
Okay, so if Angus is approaching my 10-year-old and like always just trying to he's just trying to chew on his arms instead of saying don't bite, I should be thinking or saying something more like mouth closed.
Mouth to yourself. Yeah, mouth to yourself. Or you could say express your love in a different way and just explain. Because I had a session one time where this dog kept biting his guardian's hand like all the time. And when I asked him, his name was Blue. His name is Blue. He said, it just feels good in my mouth. Like that was
Yeah.
it. That was the only
Yeah.
reason. It feels good. And
Yeah.
so then I explained, okay, well, that's great, but it's hurting your mom. And she told me that he never did it since then. So
Oh,
sometimes it's just simply
shoot.
saying, like, this doesn't feel good for your sister. You need to express your love in another way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's true. And I get that sense for Angus. Like it feels good to him. He's got like crazy puppy teeth.
If you look on drjudymorgan.com, she's a really good holistic vet. Dr. Judy Morgan. She'll have really good natural bully sticks and chews and stuff. And I trust
Yeah.
everything she recommends. So it
Okay,
might be
cool.
helpful.
Okay, what else?
Separation anxiety is a big thing. So
Mhm.
I am huge on telling my animals where I'm going, why I'm going there, how long I'm going to be gone for, like,
Mm,
but also give them a job when you leave. Like
make the bed.
your job is to watch this window. Your job is to protect the home. Your job is to look after your cat sibling, right? Like give them a job so that they feel like they have something to do. And
Mhm.
for whatever reason, I have no idea why, I hear so often that dog trainers say that's the worst thing you can do. And it makes no sense to me because I've seen it help so many of my clients. Just explaining to your animals, like, where you're going, why you're going, how long you're going to be back, and why they can't come with you.
Why do you think dog trainers don't like that?
I don't know. I hear there's all these videos on social media where they're like, you can't engage with the dog and get them hyped up for where you're leaving. You need to just leave and not look at them, and then come back and not look at them, and don't greet them and don't say hello. And I'm like, but why? They are not just an animal that's devoid of information and knowledge and emotion. Like if you're leaving for 8 hours and they're stuck at home, like just explain why. So I have never talked to a dog trainer that doesn't agree with me because I refuse to get into arguments with people on social media. So I don't know their reasons. I just see it a lot. But then there are dog trainers that are like, no way, like talk to them. They understand you.
I mean, they know when you start thinking about coming
Yep.
home anyway.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you may as well just
I would,
what's the harm in
yeah.
sharing?
I would say the number one email I get in response to my newsletter and messages on social media from people is, "Oh my gosh, your advice to tell my animals where I'm going and why and for how long has changed everything." Like that's the number one thing I hear over and over and over and over and over again. So It
That's
works for me.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. That also makes me think it's nice to tell them where they're going. Like
Exactly. Exactly.
Angus just went for like a day of training and
Mhm.
daycare. I should have probably been like, listen, you're gonna go to this place and then you're gonna come back at like 5 o'clock.
Yeah, give them those details going forward and tell them, like this goes into what I was gonna say next of, you gotta explain, like, why things are in their benefit. So, like,
Yeah.
if you're having trouble cutting your animal's nails or giving them medicine, it's explain the why. Like, why are you doing this? Why do you want to do this for them? How is it going to help them? And you can say it out loud, you can say it in your head because as you guys know by now, if you're still listening, like they are understanding what you're thinking and what you're saying. So by explaining things, it's going to help them be like, oh, okay. Because how would you feel if I just came up to you and pulled up your eyelids and put a liquid in your eyeball? You'd probably punch me in the face. Like, you want to know
Mm.
what the heck's happening.
Yeah.
Same with the
Totally.
animals.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And I would say I have one more. The last thing is two things. Last two things. Forget about their past. So if you have an animal that was rescued and they went through a horrific past, and stop repeating that story to people because the animals are focused on the now. So if you keep reiterating the trauma they went through and how they used to be so scared, like they're going to continue to embody that. Like focus on the now and like what you're doing. I think it helps a lot. With the behavioral issues, if there's ever anything like you mentioned with Angus, if there's something going on, it's like, okay, let's take a look at like our life, my life. It's not always that you're the problem, but sometimes they're just being a mirror for something you need to adjust or modify in your own life that will then help them, but also you, and then everything gets better.
Yeah. That's
So
beautiful advice.
those are like half of the 20 ways to enhance your life. You can, if anyone's listening and wants the rest on my website, like at the bottom, there's like a link that's like freebie, free guide. That's where that is.
No, all of that stuff is so impactful. And it's funny when you were saying, don't get caught up on your dog's past. Yeah, they're not humans. They don't suck like us. They're not like obsessed with our
Yes,
they're not obsessed with their shortcomings. They don't want to
exactly.
make excuses for why they're neurotic. They
Right. They're
just
just exactly. They're in the
want,
present moment.
yeah.
Like, of course, some animals might have residual emotional effects of what they went through, but it's like you constantly repeating that story is not going to help them move on and to adapt back into their life now. It's like, let's focus on right now and how we can help you be comfortable with where you are now and forget about all that.
Okay, then this leads me to one last thing. For some reason, this popped into my head. Breeds. What, like, if we're talking about dogs or really any animal, like, is there like an awareness that they have that we put importance on breeds or traits of breeds? Is there something there that you're aware of?
Well, I think not really, but I do think there is definitely something to be said about genetics and like, certain animals are genetically better at certain things or predisposed to certain things or need more exercise than others. Like that's just genetics, right? Um, but if you're asking like would a German shepherd know that we maybe have more expectation of them to do certain things and another, they're going to know that simply because they're understanding what we're thinking and feeling. So it's not so much just because of the breed, they're picking up on what the people around them are thinking and what they want them to do. So any animal is going to be able to do that.
Yeah, cool. All right, that was super fun. I am an animal communication expert now.
Heck yes.
Clearly.
I'm so glad you did that today. That was so awesome.
Oh my gosh, me too. And also, like, just to expose our audience to the fact that without planning, I just tapped into
Yep.
Merlin.
Yep.
Super fun. Okay.
So great.
Thank you so much for your time. I will link your website in the notes. And yeah, I think this is going to change a lot of people's lives. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation as much as we did. Be sure to subscribe and follow us wherever you get your podcasts so that you never miss a new episode. If you liked today's episode, please consider leaving a review to help the other psychics find their way here.